perfectionists, welcome back to episode 3 of the Nothing is Perfect podcast. And as always, we start things off by bringing in the one, the only, the Silver Fox, Dustin Boydell. What's up, my dude?
Good morning, sir. Happy Wednesday to you. Another bright sunny day in the Fraser Valley here, and another great day to talk hockey because now, of course, the Stanley Cup has been handed out. And the evil empire was defeated, so hooray for that. Lots of little things to talk about. Now the excitement starts to build as we see some trades going out across the league, see some coach hirings. I imagine Ryan Johnson's been on the phone now, trying to get some irons in the fire, if you will. And I'm excited to chat, as I am every week, because it's always a pleasure seeing your beautiful face and hearing your beautiful voice. So, how have you been? How's your week been? You know, let's do a little recap of personal things before we hop into the hockey stuff. Because I feel like we don't do enough preamble. I feel like we just hop in and.
It's the habits from the Rusty and Dusty sideshow that we normally
do. Because we're like go.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, this is the ability of us to take a little bit more time to breathe, because normally we do the Rusty and Dusty sideshow on Canucks broadcasts. We cram in as much as we can into the 15 minutes that we have for an intermission entertainment for everyone who is tuned into the YouTube channel while we're live during every single Canucks game. So this is our chance to chat about more than just Canucks, talk about everything that's happening in the league. So between myself, Rusty, and Dusty there, it's nice to be able to chat a little bit more. So yeah, no, it's been great. It was my 2-year wedding anniversary on Monday. So
I saw.
We are 8 months pregnant right now, for anyone who also doesn't know that. So it was very low key. We went out for little dinner yesterday because we were both working on Monday, and it was nice just to get out and have some food, and we watched a movie together, so it was nice and chill.
Awesome. Well, happy belated anniversary, and all my best to Crystal. Hope she's doing well. I'm sure she can't wait to get the pregnancy over with. She's probably reaching that point where it's like, get this baby out of me. Yeah. It's nice to hear that everything's going well, and as you know, here on this side of the things, we have a youngster as well.
Puppy!
A puppy, and Mr. Toad. He's doing well. Nuggles is starting to get used to having him around. She's a little bit grumpy this morning because he was pushing a little too hard to play last night, but they're having some time apart right now. Toad's downstairs chilling, and she's up here in the office with me, so she's happy. But no, he's doing well, getting close to being house trained. He plays fetch, he sits, will do anything for food. And so it's been a very busy week, but not too busy to carve out some time for the Rusty and Dusty show.
Yeah, that's great. So we'll rewind a little bit because there has been so much news. Obviously, the Stanley Cup Finals happened, but before that got finished up, the Vancouver Canucks and Ryan Johnson announced that they had found their candidate to fill the position that Ryan Johnson left vacant when he was promoted to GM of the Vancouver Canucks. So Richard Seeley has been hired as the general manager of the Abbotsford Canucks. He will also take on the title of AGM of the Vancouver Canucks, a title that he did not hold in the organization he came from, which is the Los Angeles Kings. So I can see that as not a sideways move for Mr. Richard Seeley, but a promotion of sorts, so that he will have a little bit more to do with the NHL side of things as well, which he did not get a lot of working in the LA Kings organization. I think it's funny the reaction we got from Canucks fans when he was hired, because everyone said, "Who the hell is Richard Seeley?" And I find it entertaining because people in this market wanted outside voices. They wanted people that would bring a new perspective in, and then they get that. And we still got the people complaining about not knowing who he was, complaining that maybe they're just cheaping out on the hire. But when you really dig into it, Richard Seeley is a fantastic hire. So Dustin, what were your initial reactions when you heard the news, and what kind of things have you heard about Richard Seeley so far?
I was excited. First of all, another BC guy coming back to the Vancouver Canucks organization to work closer to home. Powell River, I believe he was from Powell River, played for the Powell River Paper Kings. Uh, Also, I mean, the Ontario Reign have been close to the top of the Pacific Division in the AHL for the last, decade. Um, and he has been a big part of that, helping build um, the prospects for the LA Kings organization. Um, Sorry, blanked out for a second there. But someone that Ryan Johnson obviously worked close with, being a general manager in the AHL, has probably dealt with him business wise. Someone he has respected and worked. I mean, for at least 4 years being a GM in the AHL, so they know each other well. The record speaks for itself. The way the Ontario Reign are built, we've seen it lots. You and I, the last 2 seasons, they play that chokeout style, but it's different than the big club in the sense of um, there's a very big defense by committee type of thing that happens with the Ontario Reign, and it's really difficult to get shots through, and they just prey on mistakes of the other team, and that's basically what they do. But they're constructed so well with their chemistry. I think that's one of the big draws that Ryan Johnson felt that that he would be good for this job. So I'm excited to see what type of moves Richard can make. I think it's important for him to have the AGM role with the big club as well, because they work so closely together. They want this alignment from top to bottom of the organization. To have that, you need to have regular conversations with your AHL team. So to have him involved with, oh, my team might need this, it's important because Ryan Johnson might be able to make a NHL trade that includes AHL prospects. If you're not speaking with your AHL GM going, can we do this trade? Or are there any guys you think we could trade for value? It opens a lot of conversation doors. It opens more doors to make trades more beneficial for both the big club and the young club, especially going through a rebuild right now. You don't want to give up on too many young assets. So if the AGM feels, no, don't trade this prospect because, XYZ, or, this guy's maybe going to peak out here soon. He might need a change of scenery. Let's include him in a package deal. If you're looking to trade somebody, here's my list of guys you can add on as sweeteners to a deal or something like that, right? So having that AGM role brings that aspect to it. Whereas in LA, he likely wasn't involved in any of those, could have been losing players without any conversations. And so likely didn't have as much to do with that sort of thing. So as you said, more of a promotion than a shift sideways, and likely will be able to work his way into a NHL GM role in this new position for him.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson released the news statement. It was June 11th that this came out, and a part of it says, besides knowing the game of hockey inside and out, he is a great communicator, goes to work every day with an open mind, and sets his players up for success by creating an environment that tries to eliminate any excuse that would stop them from making progress. Rich understands our values and vision, and I believe his mindset and mentality will fit nicely with what we are trying to establish with our organization in both Abbotsford and Vancouver. So you mentioned a bit of his background, obviously general manager of the AHL Ontario Reign for a long time. They set a franchise best record last year with 99 points, 47, 23, and 2. Before that, he was also the head coach and director of hockey operations for the ECHL's Manchester Monarchs, which is also an affiliate of the LA Kings. And he did actually play as well. And he was one of those guys who had a little bit of a cup of tea when it came to playing in the NHL, and then he played in the AHL, and he also ended up playing in Europe as well, while also studying in school. So he was playing professional hockey in Europe as well. I believe it was in Germany, and also was going to school at the exact same time. So it's cool to see the different aspects. He was touted as somebody who was almost hired into the Florida Panthers organization. Everyone remembers the computer boys that they talk about from the late 2018, 2019 season. So he was almost hired into that organization as somebody who was very forward thinking, very willing to look at the analytics. So that is also something the Canucks fans around here should be happy about, because that's something we've been looking for. Someone who knows that aspect and that side of the game, and to have him, like you said, as the AGM, to have input on the Canucks too. It's good to have someone who has a good understanding of why listening to the nerds with the spreadsheets is a good thing.
Exactly. And I think he's part of those nerds with the spreadsheets. And that's why he's been so successful in Ontario with the chemistry, right? Chemistry comes down to analytics. It comes down to data. How is this player built? How does he directly play the game? How do we maximize his skill set by placing him on a line with two other players or pairing him with X defensive partner? It's all into metrics, which we see constantly online, and it just shows that it does work. There was one that just came out actually about Keandre Miller and how they never gave him a chance with Adam Fox, and their two stats together were off the charts, but they kept throwing Adam Fox back with Jake Trouba and other partners that kept throwing Miller with all these partners that he didn't have success with. So, and that is very data driven, right? That's where these guys are important. And we also heard from the club that they're going to put more stock into what the analytics division is bringing to the table. We've heard, obviously, that the old school boys didn't believe in analytics and weren't listening much to the analytics department, and some decisions in the last 4 years have been made that were not at the recommendation of the analytics division. So why even have them if you're not going to take any stock in what they say? I'm very excited to see more thought out moves be made by the front office. It's why things are taking more time. I love how quiet it has been. There's no rumors, no stories, unless obviously local media are trying to generate them themselves because for whatever reason they have vendettas. I don't know, but it has been refreshing. It feels like these embargoes of keeping current organization members off of certain shows is over, as this morning Manny will be on Donnie and Dolly, or already has been as we're recording this. So I'm looking forward to catching that interview after we're done recording ours, because it would likely be up on YouTube by then. So that is exciting to see, because we need more voices in the interview room. We need more sportscasters getting access. Like, we need Trevor getting his press pass back. Friend of the show, Trevor Beggs, who lost his press pass last season. And it's just refreshing. I'm excited, and seeing these new faces like Richard Seeley come in, it just feels right. Everything feels like it's righting the ship. I'm proud to say we are all Canucks again. It just, every step they've taken so far feels like the right step. It feels like they're doing all of their due diligence, and just, get me to the draft. Get me to the draft. Come on, 9 days, baby. Let's go.
Well, I mentioned the almost hiring in Florida. I got the year wrong. It was actually 2016. So it's funny how the connections happen when you look at these kind of things. A lot of this
Here comes the comment section.
Yeah, this comes from Ben Kuzma put out an article, and he was interviewing Steve Werrier, or Steve Werrier. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I apologize. But this was actually when Dale Talon was forcibly put to the side in Florida by the ownership group, and then given power to the two AGMs. One of them was Steve, and he was pounding the table, as he describes it, to hire Richard Seeley. which is a great thing to see. So you'll love to see that kind of information coming out from even guys who wanted to really hire him and wanted to make him one of the computer boys. So that's really good to see. I wanted to look just briefly at his record as the GM of the Ontario Reign, because right now, if you look at the current roster for the LA Kings, you've got Quinton Byfield, Samuel Helenius, Jeff Mallett, Alex Turcotte, Taylor Ward, Jared Wright, Mikey Anderson, Brant Clark, Jacob Morov, and those are all players that went through the Ontario Reign system that are currently playing for the LA Kings. So you're looking at a plethora of players that were developed. And again, like we talked about with Darren Hermanston before, these are not all guys that were hired draft picks. There are, like, Byfield is a first-round pick. Helenius is a second-round pick. But there are people like Taylor Ward who are undrafted, who are now members of the LA Kings. And then I put this comment up on Reddit, and a user named Carry On Replacement commented that not with the Kings that are also guys that went through the Ontario Reign system are Sean Dursey, Spence, Sean Walker, Pari, Velarde, and Matt Waugh, who are another slew of guys who, like you mentioned, maybe he's not happy with some of the players that got traded away. These are some of the higher end prospects that the LA Kings traded away to try and win, and futility, with the futility of trying to beat the Edmonton Oilers, not being able to slay their dragon, losing 4 years in a row, trading away some of their young talent too. So now that Richard Seeley also has the AGM, he's going to say, hey, let's not get rid of Ulrichsen. He could turn into something. Let's not get rid of these guys that I've been watching develop within my system. So it's good to see that even with the track record of his expansive resume of playing, coaching, running hockey operations, running teams, he also has a proven record of allowing teams to draft players and actually have them make it to the NHL. And that's exactly what this franchise needs right now from an AHL GM.
For sure.
You love to see it. So Richard Seeley.
Love to see it.
You love to see some good dick in here. Richard Dick Seeley. Dick Seeley. Yes. All right. Canucks news out of the way.
Spell condoms.
We got the Stanley Cup Finals just finished up. The Carolina Hurricanes have managed to save hockey by defeating the Evil Empire, the oldest Conn Smythe Trophy winner in the history of the NHL as well. Maybe a little bit of influence by recency bias, because obviously Mr. Stahl had 5 goals in the first 5 games of the finals, but I'm not going to be too upset about him getting it. There could have been maybe Taylor Hall gets it. But how excited were you to see Carolina finally put things together and take down Tortorella and that evil empire that is the Vegas Goldeneyes?
Oh, it was refreshing. The last time was 2006, so it's been 20 long years for them. I get it. As a fan who's been waiting and waiting and waiting, obviously it's been since 2011 for us to even be in the finals. So first off, congratulations to Rod Brindamore, the Hurricanes. A team built on chemistry and working together. They're fast. They back check like banshees. And it all comes down to your coach being able to outwork you in the gym. It doesn't sit well with young gentlemen, and they are led by example. And so it's nice. I'm very happy, especially with the way that Vegas operates. All this stuff coming out now post Tortorella basically hired as a tournament style coach, as if, for a world championship or Olympics, to give the new coach player bump, right? Because statistically and analytically, a new coach gives a team a bump, regardless of when they're hired in the season. When it happens, there's always a rise when you get a new coach. We saw it with the Canucks in the preseason. That was the rise. Unfortunately, the fall happened immediately the second the regular season started. But we saw a rise. The Vegas Knights were suddenly playing with more energy than we saw them down the stretch. Yes, they were winning games down the stretch, but it felt different. Then kind of started to slow down a bit. Third round, West final. Weren't sure if they were going to get through Colorado, but Colorado with some major injury issues allowed Vegas to get by them. I just they topped out against the Hurricanes. Tortorella didn't know how to juggle his lines because he hadn't been with the team for the entire year. So once he had to switch things up, that's when Carolina had them on their heels. And I just was so elated to see them defeated. And I'm happy for, Eric Stahl. I'm happy for Taylor Hall, who went through
Eric
some
Stahl
of
is
those.
retired.
Or sorry, Jordan Stahl. Thank you. Jordan Stahl. And Taylor Hall, who went through some of those dark days in Edmonton and was one of those the first overall pick and was traded relatively unceremoniously and to the chagrin of Oilers fans. And now for him to be the first Edmonton first overall pick to win a Stanley Cup is just hilarious to me. So there's all sorts of things that just make me happy about it. But at the end of the day, the thing that makes me the most happy is that the season is finally over. We're seeing trades happen. We're rapidly approaching the draft. We're almost within a week of it. I'm just waiting to see some Canuck moves happen here. I'm very excited. And just bring on everything else because the Stanley Cup has been awarded and now we got summer to happen.
Well, as a Canucks fan too, it's always nice to see a team win the cup that has already won the cup. Because as everybody knows, the Vancouver Canucks have never won the Stanley Cup. And so to see a team that has never won the cup do it again before the Canucks is always more painful. So I will always take a team repeating over a brand new team taking the cup home to their hometown. So we'll take that. Before we get to the Vegas coaching situation, you mentioned briefly Torts hired as a tournament style. There was one small move or a couple of small moves for the Abbotsford Canucks, locking up a couple of defensemen. So I did want to mention that. For anyone who wasn't paying attention, Jack Thompson was acquired last season by Ryan Johnson for Jet Wu, essentially, who was a franchise favorite. We love Jet Wu. We love saying his name. So it was a little hard to see him go, but Jack Thompson made it a little easier. He came in and he was absolutely lights out. He was a point-a-game player for the Canucks on the defensive side of things. He signed a one-year, two-way deal a couple days ago on June the 12th. And then as of just the other day as well, we got Cole Clayton also signing another one-year, two-year deal. So a couple pieces that were acquired last year to shore up the defense down in Abbotsford, both signing one-year, two-way contracts as well. So that is good to see. I honestly, with this tidy work from Mr. General Manager of the Vancouver Canucks, still doing his job down in Abbotsford, I think the Abbotsford Canucks are going to be a very good team. RJ is leaving that situation in a very good spot for Richard Seeley coming in. So I'm very excited to see. And obviously, Cole Clayton is not a guy who's going to put a lot of points up, but Jack Thompson is. These are both guys who could theoretically be called up in a pinch, but adding further depth to the Canucks organization when it comes to defense. So it's good to see a couple of the pieces they got last year that will be back with the organization once again. So we're happy to see that.
For sure. And both right shot guys. So I was excited when they brought them in. Cole Clayton, the defensive guy, as you said, and bigger body. So just quick, tidy stuff. Two-way contracts, so easy to call up, easy to send down. And you always need depth to win at the NHL level. And even at the AHL level, we saw it last year, right? The depth got depleted. And realistically, we didn't get a proper view of what the Abbotsford Canucks could be because there were key injuries. It's one thing when you get heavy amount of injuries to depth guys, they're more easily replaced. When you lose Lecker-Mackey, Ulrichsen, top line guys, and you had Jet Wu missing for the beginning of the season when you had a lot of young D-men coming in, it was just tough sledding for everybody. So really looking forward to next year. Obviously, they'll likely have Braden Coots there as a centerman, Riley Patterson will be making the jump to the AHL level, and will be in darn good shape down there. They even have Safonov down there as a depth guy if he decides that he will accept a role in AHL if he doesn't make the NHL team. So, yeah, like you said, leaving it in great shape.
Yeah, you love to see it. A little bit of work for the Canucks to start the offseason after the Stanley Cup. So going back to the Vegas Golden Knights, Tortorella was not going to be coming back. So they did announce that. And then quickly after have announced that they're hiring Ryan Craig, who is from Abbotsford, British Columbia. So another BC boy coming into the league. He has been the head coach for the Henderson Silver Knights, which is the AHL affiliate, which has not been an easy job because, as everyone knows, there is not a lot of prospects in that organization as they tend to trade them all away to win now. So Ryan Craig has been named the 5th head coach of the Vegas franchise, which is good to see. I actually worked with his sister-in-law, so I had some funny stories about his time. He's got a background. He was a player. He played with Tampa Bay. That's when I knew his sister-in-law, working back at Milestones back in the day. He has been the coach for the last 3 seasons down there in the AHL. He did win the Calder Cup back in the day, so he's got a little bit of winning in his chemistry as well. He won the Calder Cup with the Lake Erie Monsters back in 2015-16. He played almost 200 games in the NHL between Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Columbus, and he also played 711 games in the AHL, so another one of those guys who manages to work his way back up. He played in the WHL for the Brandon Wheat Kings. So it's good to see another BC boy getting a job. And as you mentioned when I told you earlier, we chatted about it, another new age coach coming into the league when we've seen a couple of old guys get hired. So that's kind of interesting to see. But good for the organization, as much as we don't like the Vegas Golden Knights and their organization. A smart move by them to bring another young coach into the ranks.
For sure, and he was originally an assistant coach with Vegas when they entered the league in 2017, lifted the cup in 2023 as an assistant coach with the team, and was then asked to take over the head coaching role in Henderson because Henderson was struggling at the AHL level, mostly due to lack of prospects because they traded away every draft pick they ever had. But finally last year, he did coach them to a winning record. Went from last place in the Pacific to 3rd place in the Pacific, got them their first playoff berth, and has now been rewarded with the head coaching position. We did hear reports that this was the plan when Bruce Cassidy was fired anyways, was to hire Ryan Craig, but because the Henderson team was headed to the playoffs, they needed to pivot, hired Tortorella as the playoff bump. Tortorella's contract was only signed until June 30th anyways. So basically 2 weeks severance for Torts, and they promote Ryan Craig and move forward. But word on the street is that Tortorella has the hunger to continue coaching. So maybe we see the Edmonton Oilers pivot a little bit, because obviously that's more the direction of coach I feel like they want to go. So maybe we see Tortorella hired in Edmonton, because obviously there is some drama going on over there when it comes to the coaching position. But that's story for later. Right now, very excited for Ryan Craig, well-earned promotion. Obviously not excited in the sense they're a Pacific Division team, because I think it will make Vegas a stronger team next year. We'll have to see how that works. But Pacific Division, man, everyone's got a new damn coach. The pillow fight may be over. Now it's going to be a dog fight for all these teams proving themselves, trying to get back to the top. We got Laviolette in LA. We got Ryan Craig in Vegas now. We got Manny here at home. And we'll see what happens in Edmonton. Obviously, keeping one eye on that ever since the Babcock rumors started hitting the news. But we've got plenty of former players coming out of the woodwork on social media trying to help prevent that from happening. I had no idea how bad it really was, but I will say this, good riddance. Don't bring the guy back. Whose idea was it? And shoot them. Take them out back and I'm just kidding, obviously. But take them out back, fire them, and be like, I can't believe you brought this kind of controversy into an already like chaotic organization with the last year of McDavid under contract with his little team friendly deal he took. And realistically, their last kick at the can with McDavid, because if they don't win this year and are not in a playoff position at the trade deadline, he's gone. He is gone. Yeah. He is going to someone who can compete to win.
Well, I mean, there is an official investigation now into his resignation from the Columbus Blue Jackets, so that is all being actually investigated now. But like you said, from the rumors coming out of, like, Darnell Nurse has requested a trade. I don't know if that has any link to the rumors about Babcock coming in, but there's also views being expressed from different player agents and people talking about the fact that if they bring in Babcock, no one's going to want to sign for Edmonton. It's not worth it. They don't want to play for a guy like Babcock. They have heard. And if you think about this, think about some of the people that have questionable character that have been hired into this league, and players don't have any problem just being like, yeah, it is what it is. If you have this much backlash publicly from players, it is going to be an absolute disaster of a PR move and terrible for that organization if the Edmonton Oilers decide to go through and hire Mike Babcock. Because that would just, I think it's crazy. Like, the dude should just stay in retirement.
And I know there are people out there who think certain views are creating a double standard with Joel Quenneville being hired in Anaheim. The difference is Joel Quenneville actively went out and bettered himself by taking educational courses about sexual assault, how better to handle those situations if someone comes to you. It wasn't a situation of him trying to necessarily brush it under the rug. It was more a situation of didn't fully know the situation and didn't know how to help. That's not an excuse for not bringing it to someone's attention. However, he did the work to better himself and now earned a second chance in the league. Babcock, for all intents and purposes, for all we know, hasn't done any of that stuff. Still talks about himself in the third person, which has come out in the news now. Frankie Corrado played for the Canucks when they had Torts, played for the Toronto Maple Leafs when they had Babcock, and he said he would play for Torts all day, every day, because that guy is tough, but he cares about the person. At the end, yeah, he's hard on the media, but he is a hell of a coach when it comes to, he just wants the best out of you. But at the end of the day, understands the person and doesn't treat you like garbage. Whereas Mike Babcock is a psychological serial killer when it comes to players' psyche. He plays mind games, talks about himself in the third person, thinks he's the most arrogant guy on the planet. I just saw a story on, I mean, screw it, I guess we're talking about Babcock. I saw a story about Aaron Ward, or a clip from Aaron Ward when he was working with TSN or one of the stations, ESPN or TSN. I don't know if it was America or Canada. But Babcock tried to get him fired because he got a leak out of Detroit. And Babcock was pissed. And Babcock called him all these names and everything and said a lot of stuff about him, tried to get him fired. Next day, the rumor came true. It's not Aaron Ward's fault for just doing his job. But these are the things that are coming out, and it's just keep him far, far away from the NHL. There's no need for him anymore. Just leave him wherever he's buried.
To another team that has decided to come out of the blue and hire a head coach that nobody thought was even on the radar, the Toronto Maple Leafs have hired today Jim Hiller, who is also a former member of the LA Kings organization. Interesting hire. Nobody saw this one coming. Should Maple Leafs fans be happy or sad, or what should they be feeling? Because everyone forgets that Jim Hiller was actually an assistant coach for the Maple Leafs back in the day as well, when ironically he was actually assistant coaches with Mike Babcock.
Well, he was originally given his first coaching role by Mike Babcock with the Detroit Red Wings as an assistant, followed him to Toronto. When Babcock was fired from Toronto, he went to the Islanders organization. Babcock went to Columbus, so they split ways there. We knew things were going to be interesting when they hired John Shake as a GM. But this is a strange one. Get ready for real boring, low event hockey, because that's what Jim Hiller coaches. Inherited a playoff team his first year in LA when he became interim head coach, promoted to head coach the following year, had the head coach bump, and then the next year was let go because it was like a steep drop off in the way that the King's ownership and management wanted the team to play. And so, boy, I tell you, that wasn't the only interesting move that
yeah, what was with
made.
the trade too? Because the Toronto Maple Leafs end up making a trade with the Philadelphia Flyers as well. They send Joseph Woll and Simone Benoit to the Philadelphia Flyers. They get back Samuel Ersson, who's actually a huge Swedish goaltender, and then Emil Andre as well. They also get a 26th third-round pick, which will be this year. So interesting, though, because Joseph Woll was a beast for that team for a little bit. Obviously, very injury-prone, but it seems like all the Leafs goaltenders were injury-prone. Does this one feel like Matt Sundin's his fingers on this one? Because they just got a couple Swedish guys back.
Well, I wanted to think I was crazy when I speculated that they're going to take Stenberg. But to go out then and trade a goalie with a 906 save percentage at the NHL level and a goals against average under 3, you bring in a guy that's got 301 goals against, 884 save percentage in the NHL. Basically same age group, same place in their development. It's just bringing in 2 Swedish guys that are worse than 2 guys you sent out. Simon Benoit, great depth defenseman for the Maple Leafs for the last couple of years. He's a big, heavy hitter, a big boy. So, Talkett's going to love him in Philly. Exactly the type of defenseman that Tocchet would love to have on his team. Joseph Woll kind of solidifies a little more of their goaltending issues they had down there. Obviously, they had to go into the playoffs with only Dan Vladar. But he helps give them a little more depth at the goalie position there. Maybe a more solid backup going into next year. Could push for starter role as well. But, when you look at the Leafs and their goaltending situation, it's like, well, they traded as if Erson's going to be their starter. I just can't really make sense of the trade unless it's, like you said, bringing in Swedes. It's just, I don't know.
Very bizarre.
I speculated it was going to be a weird dynamic over there when they hired Sundin, and Chayka has not had a great track record as a man of making good moves. So this one might come back to bite him. I didn't see them moving Woll. That's for sure.
Since we're talking about coaching changes and trades, we also have the Colorado Avalanche, who have made a trade as well. Another weird one too. I guess the new GM in Nashville really liked Ross Colton because he traded for him. Now, Colorado getting a little bit of draft capital back, getting a 3rd round pick in 2026, a 3rd round pick in 2027. It's actually funny that Colorado is getting their pick back, which is kind of funny. And then a couple of goalies I've never heard of. Magnus Krona goes to Colorado, and the Predators receive Isaac Posh. So it looks to me, and we talked about this a little bit before we got started, the Colorado Avalanche have $6 million in cap space moving to next year. They have 4 defensemen they need to sign. They are going to do everything they can to clear up some cap space. So is that as much of as you want to break down a trade with some third and fourth line guys? That pretty much what it comes down to, just clearing up a bit of cap space. As Ross Colton was a $4 million cap hit.
I think it could be Joe just calling his former assistant and saying, "Hey, you want to do me a favor?"
Yeah.
I mean, the Predators still have $23 million in projected space for next year. Even with the $4 million that they took on for Colton for next year. He's a great depth guy. They could flip him at the deadline if they're not in a playoff position. Whereas you mentioned the $6 million that Colorado has in cap space, and they only have 4 NHL blue liners signed for next season. They have to sign half of a freaking blue line. They're gonna have some juggling and cartwheeling to do. We'll have to see what Burnaby Joe comes up with, but he's gonna have to get creative, or they're going to be very, very different looking Colorado Avalanche next year, and they might have a big drop off.
This year might be one of those ones that Colorado fans will look back on and be like, "What if our team could have stayed healthy?" Because I don't know if what they're going to be losing. I mean, Jack Drury is an RFA. Joel Kiviranta, a couple of their depth guy, he's a UFA. So, and like you said, Brett Burns, Brett Kulak, Jack Can, and Nick Blankenberg, which they got from Colorado, they're all 4 of them are UFAs. So, a lot of work for Joe Sakic to do. Maybe the Canucks can do something to help them out, but we'll have to wait and see. Hockey Night in Canada has been canceled as we know it. Sportsnet's Twitter page releases the statement after 12-year partnership. Sportsnet and CBC today announced the public broadcaster will no longer carry NHL broadcasts after the current season as it moves forward with new sports programming strategies following the unprecedented success of the Milan Cortina Olympic Games. Watching hockey on Saturday nights is a time-honored tradition for Canadians, and Sportsnet is privileged to continue delivering that tradition. This has been a terrific partnership, and both parties look forward to continued opportunities to collaborate in the future. What the hell does any of that mean? Why are you talking about the Olympics? Dustin, what's your reaction to this inevitable statement that was going to happen once things...
I mean, it was already a syndicated partnership, right? It wasn't like CBC had their own crew and was going in and doing games themselves like we've seen Amazon do now recently and that sort of thing. They were basically broadcasting the same game that was on whatever local Sportsnet you had. So if you're watching Sportsnet Pacific or CBC, it was the same game. So it really became a moot point for them to continue that. Sportsnet wasn't getting anything out of it from CBC. CBC was just kind of getting to broadcast these games that were happening on Sportsnet with Sportsnet crews. I don't know the ins and outs of the contract for the syndication. I don't know how much money CBC was paying to broadcast those games, but it just seemed inevitable when the new broadcast contract got signed, that it was going to end. There was no real point to it anymore. The thing that confused the heck out of me was the Olympic thing. Bringing the Olympic Games into the success, it's like, okay, well, that's every 4 years. So every 4 years, you're going to have success on CBC. And for the other 3 years, what are they going to do with their sports programming? It's a confusing message. They should have just said, look, the contract expired. We're moving on. CBC's moving on. Done. This convoluted press release, it's going to be sad because it isn't a tradition. Saturday nights in Canada, you turn on CBC, but the times have changed so much. Broadcast rights are so much more expensive. And I just think that it's just some things have to go sometimes. And with streaming and all the new ways to take in hockey or sports and things like that, I don't know what CBC is going to do.
We're going to finish off. Well, we were going to finish off with a little story about your nephew and some ice time sharing with a local superstar. But as we were chatting here, another tidy piece of business that I'm very excited to say we got this right when I just was doom scrolling here on Twitter. The general manager Ryan Johnson announced today that the Canucks have agreed to terms with Chase Waters, a two-way contract. Two-way, which he never actually had an NHL contract. So technically, this is an NHL contract for the captain of the Abbotsford Canucks and one of the best leaders that this organization has seen, full stop. So I'm very excited that we got to see this right before we finished off this podcast today. So Ryan Johnson announcing Chase Waters 1 year, two-way contract. Hopefully you got a nice pay bump too for all the work that he does down there. How much does Chase Waters mean to the Abbotsford Canucks and this organization, Dustin Boydell?
I think this is great. It gives him the opportunity now to come to the training camp, and show how hard he works, how he carries himself. It's good to have a leader that a lot of the young prospects are familiar with. And yeah, the culture, I mean, he's just everything you want to see in a Canucks uniform. The way he plays hockey, the way he is on and off the ice, the way he is with interviews. I'm very happy about this. And it's very exciting for him. A hard-earned two-way contract. Man, I'm excited. Everything that's happening, it's just good stuff. We're opening depth. We know that these guys, part of this is Manny has coached them. Like, these are the guys that we got to get signed first. And I want Chase here for these reasons. And let's go, buddy. Let's go. That's exciting news to finish off today.
You'll love it. And then we'll finish things off after that great news from the Abbotsford Canucks and now the Vancouver Canucks. You sent me a little message. Your nephew was hoping to get some ice time. There was some ice time there in North Van that was supposed to be free ice time. He shows up to the rink and somebody booked the ice right before him. Tell us what happened for your nephew there yesterday.
So my one of, as you know, both my nephews play pretty high level youth hockey. One nephew's headed to Moose Jaw Warriors main camp actually in August, which is pretty damn cool. But the other one was practicing. He plays for North Shore Winter Club. Wanted to get some skating in. Looked online, saw that there was open ice at whatever time. Shows up to the rink and he gets his gear on, goes to go out there in the ice. There's someone on the ice skating around, taking shots, and it's none other than Connor Bedard, former North Shore Winter Club player. Anyways, my nephew's sitting on the bench there, kind of sad that he got all his gear on and the ice is booked. And Connor got his attention and said, sorry, we got the ice booked. And he goes, well, how long you have it booked for? And then he goes, well, you can use that half if you want. And so they didn't speak the whole time he was out there, but he shared the ice with Connor Bedard, did his stuff on one half while Connor worked with his guys on the other half. And he was kicking himself. He didn't have his phone, didn't get a picture or anything. But luckily, North Shore Winter Club is part of Live Barn, so you can always log in and see what's going on there. And my sister pulled up the little video of him getting permission to go out there and skate from Connor, and it was pretty cool. So he was pretty excited, but a little bummed at the same time that he didn't get any immediate proof.
Offer sheet him. What a nice guy. Connor Bedard down at Canuck Place the other day, letting the local
Bring
kids,
him home.
right?
Bring him home, RJ.
Get him here. And then I wish I could give credit out. I was listening to something the other day and someone said, offer sheet him. You're not going to be able to get him, right? The Chicago Blackhawks are going to match whatever you say. But if you offer sheet him to his UFA year, right? Offer sheet him, 3 or 4 years? And then at the end of that 3 or 4 years, boom, that's the quickest way that we're going to get Connor Bedard to come home and play for the Vancouver Canucks. So that is Very cool to hear that he's such a nice guy on and off the ice and on the ice as well.
Yes, sir.
Dustin, I appreciate your time today. Is there anything you want to say to the people and the perfectionists before I let you go for the day?
Thank you as always for listening and leaving your comments wherever you're listening or watching, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. As you know, Russ works hard to get this available to all of you, however you want to take in the media. I hope everyone has a great week. Hopefully there's even more Canucks news coming down rapidly before the draft. As you know, we'll record next week, 2 days before the draft, and hopefully have some news. And then we will be live during the first round to see who those Canucks select at third overall or possibly higher if a trade comes through. Who knows? But appreciate the support, appreciate the love, appreciate the comments. As we go, we'll get better and better at this podcast thing. Hopefully we can start implementing some segments or something. But excited for the Canucks off season. Hope everyone enjoys the sunshine that we're supposed to get and stays happy and healthy.
Awesome, Dustin. I appreciate you. Now we're going to be happy to have on the one and only Sarah Loves Hockey, as we will be chatting about the PWHL draft and who got selected by the Vancouver Goldeneyes, #1 overall, and some other news around the PWHL. So stay tuned for Sarah Loves Hockey.
With the first overall pick in the 2026 PWHL draft, the Vancouver Goldeneyes select from the University of Wisconsin defenseman KK Harvey.
In Detroit, KK Harvey becomes the first defender to ever go first overall in the PWHL draft. The 2026 Olympic MVP and gold medalist earned the Patty Kazmaier Award this year for the top collegiate player in the NCAA. At just 23 years old, the left shot defender was the first ever D to lead a women's world in scoring. Three-time NCAA champion, put up 64 points this year. Harvey is officially a Goldeneye.
Sarah Loves Hockey, welcome.
Having me once again.
It's awesome to have you. Initial reaction, let's do it right off the bat. How excited are you that the Goldeneyes now have what people are calling one of the generational talents when it comes to defense and women's hockey?
Well, first off, I'm glad that they didn't try and big brain this whole thing. They just stayed simple. I'm very excited. She's a left shot defenseman, I do believe. And so, yeah, I'm very excited, and she's very offensively minded, and I quite respect defensemen who aren't afraid to get up on the offense. So yeah, I'm very excited.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's like Jay has just donated $2. Just say, woo, which is good to see. So thank you, Jay. He's probably happy about the draft, and he's happy to see Sarah on the screen too. So that's awesome to see. I wanted to pick your brain because I was reading a little bit about the draft order, and there were people who were upset about it. Apparently things have changed. Do you know what actually went down with the PWHL when it came to the draft order? Because I noticed that Vancouver Goldeneyes are scheduled to draft at the beginning of every single round, which normally when it comes to like NHL draft, if you win the draft lottery, it only changes the first round. So it looks like for the PWHL, they changed it. So now the Goldeneyes were scheduled to draft at the top of every single round. Is that something you saw? And if so, why were people so upset about that?
I don't, well, I think people are just upset about it because they was messing with their own team's potential of getting good players. But yeah, I think I didn't really have any problem with it just because I'm a little bit biased and like, okay, Vancouver's getting more potential for good players. So I don't think that there's much to read into it.
Yeah. So don't get upset. Just deal with it. At the end of the day, I hear there's a lot of good players in this draft. So I wanted to get your reaction too, because obviously Saddle was on the board right after the Goldeneyes, and the Goldeneyes and the Torrent have started developing a bit of a rivalry in the PWHL. Abby Murphy might be a player that can add quickly to that rivalry because she tends to get under her opponent's skin. What do you think about the Seattle Torrent picking up Abby Murphy?
Well, I mean, like there's a lot of Americans in like the top 5 of this year's draft. And because of like the Olympics and and yeah, a lot of them can get underneath your skin easily. I haven't necessarily had the greatest of things to say about them, but that's all just on ice stuff. I bet like off the ice they're like really good people. But yeah, I'm a little bit like, oh goodness, we're gonna have to play her a lot. But yeah, she is really talented though, and I was kind of shocked that she used the her 5th year of eligibility because she could have easily gone like top 2 in last year's draft. And so it will be interesting to see how that extra year at college is going to take into effect with her play.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Maybe she was just failing too many classes. As Goldeneye fans, we can just assume that she had a bunch of Fs and needed to go back and retake some classes. I wanted to just pick your brain on a bunch of stuff going on around the Goldeneyes because there's been a lot of movement, obviously with the expansion draft and stuff. But we did see earlier that Ashton Bell, the captain of your Vancouver Goldeneyes, has received the leadership award for the PWHL. They call it the Intact Impact Award, which went out to 4 members from the PWHL, and number 21 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts, Ashton Bell received the award. What kind of impact does she have on this team as the captain and the leader of the Goldeneyes?
Well, she has quite a bit of impact, and I mean, she's one of the more talented players on the team. And so when Sarah Nurse went out with injury, I saw that she was kind of stepping up a little bit more in just like the offensive side of the game. Um, and so, yeah, she leads by example, and that's what you need, especially in a season that like you're first eliminated from like playoff contention and in those last few games where you're not really playing for much except for just draft points. I found that she was able to kind of like guide the group a little bit better than like I mean, I'm not going to compare her to anyone else, but yeah, she does lead by example, and that's what you need on this kind of team.
Yeah, you love to see it. I wanted to get your thoughts on the Goldeneyes roster and what remains right now. Obviously, the
Mhm.
expansion draft has now completed all 4 rounds. It was a very convoluted process. We saw some members of this team actually have the opportunity to say, no, we don't want to go anywhere and stay with the team. So as of right now, the Vancouver Goldeneyes, I mean, including the trade, which I'll ask you about too, that happened today. Before the trade today, had 10 players already signed. They got both their goaltenders back. They had a couple of their defensemen back in Ashton Bell and Sophie Jakes. And then a lot of their forwards, right? I did a breakdown and I looked at it, and it looks like out of the top 10 scorers on this team last year, they had already signed 6 of those players back to this roster. And then Abby Barine was also in the top 10 in scoring on the Goldeneyes. And she was just traded back to this team. Have you been very impressed with the management for this team to be able to get these players and keep them? And what part of it do you think it was just like, man, these women want to come back and run it back because they had so much fun playing together last year?
Yeah, I was shocked at how like unaffected Vancouver was throughout like the whole expansion, like the signing period, and then also in the draft. It was just like I had this impression that the girls want to be here and they like the vibe of the team because I like to also add on to like the Ashton Bell captaincy and all that kind of stuff. I think that she has helped to very or really facilitate like a culture and like all that kind of stuff because I see a team like New York and they have gotten ravaged 2 years in a row of like expansion draft and then free agency signing period. And I've also noticed with New York is that they're kind of a mess, in my opinion. Like they don't know who they want to be. And so that's affected the players' willingness to stay there and be around. And it's kind of sad because they selected Casey O'Brien last year, first overall. And she doesn't really, it's kind of, I would compare it to kind of like a Connor Bedard type situation in Chicago, where it's like you have this superstar, but then you have like a rotating cast around them, and you also haven't found anyone to really keep up with them. And so, yeah, I think that with the management of Vancouver, they've really done a good job on selling Vancouver to people. And honestly, selling living in Vancouver is not that difficult. Like you just have to look at the North Shore Mountains to lure people in. So yeah, I'm very impressed with just like the situation that the Goldeneyes have found themselves in.
Yeah, the only PWHL team to have their own stadium with their own logo at center ice. We got their own practice facility, just steps away from the place they play. So very, and I mean, like you said, just the most beautiful city in North America, which is all the more reason to want to play in Vancouver. Along with, it just seems like a bunch of women that love to play together. Abby Boreen, we did talk a little bit about her. I mentioned it. Uh, Picked up in the expansion draft, and then today gets traded back to the Goldeneyes. It seemed like I saw a couple posts of players for the Goldeneyes that were quite upset to see, as they call her, Bobo go. And
Mhm.
now she's back. How stoked do you think they are that Vancouver was able to pull off a trade and get her back in the fold?
I mean, it's kind of obvious that they're very excited to have her back. And I mean, just another thing that installs a little bit of faith, at least in me, that the management is good and that they're able to pull this kind of stuff off.
A few free agents that are still waiting to be signed. I think the biggest one for me when I looked at the list, UFA, Claire Thompson. She's
Mhm.
currently a UFA. Do you think it is pretty likely that she comes back to this roster, or do you think she might try and find greener pastures elsewhere?
Well, I don't think she's currently in between like Vancouver and like other teams. I think she's currently at a like fork in the road when it comes to her career because like she wants to continue playing hockey, but I do believe that she has some sort of like medical degree that she has,
Mhm.
and so she's considering late or hanging up the skates and going into more of like a normalish kind of job. And so I kind of wish that we had like a clearer idea of what she wants to do. Like I thought that we would hear something before the draft, but I think that with Vancouver drafting KK Harvey, who is a defenseman, that kind of signals a little bit for me that maybe Thompson is on her way out. And, but I'm kind of just waiting for official like announcement to really say like she's coming or she's leaving. So, yeah.
Just have to wait and see, I guess. Um, an interesting one that was funny last year that Jay pointed out in chat earlier today. Michelle Carvinen drafted at 35 years old last year. She is an RFA,
Hmm.
so she's a
Hmm.
restricted free agent. So anyone outside of Vancouver would have to essentially make an offer sheet. I don't know how it really works in the PWHL. And then Madison Samoskevich as well, who's got a brother who plays for the Florida Panthers, at least was last year.
Yeah.
So a couple of RFAs for the Goldeneyes. Do you think that Karvinen at 35 and Samoskevich, who's a bit on the younger side, only born in 2002?
Hmm.
Do you think there's a chance that these ladies come back, or do you think there's a chance they, I mean, for Karvinen, maybe even hanging up, but obviously their rights are held by Vancouver Goldeneyes.
I think that Samoskevich will come back. Um, I think that there is still an opportunity for her on this team. Karvinen, on the other hand, she had been playing in Finland, I do believe, for like a decade or something like that.
Hmm.
And um, I didn't feel like she like really fit in with the team. Like I didn't really notice her every single game that I watched. And yeah, her being 35 is definitely a huge kind of factor in that. But even when we drafted her, I was still kind of shocked that we would like we're a team that's trying to build like a culture, and you kind of want like young players who will be around for a long time instead of having someone who's going to potentially be done in a few years. And I I have the thought that Karvinen will maybe go back to Finland, and but yeah, I mean, with everything, we'll have to see. But I think that Sam Oskevich will definitely has a higher chance of coming back than Karvinen.
Yeah, carved in with 9 points last year for the Goldeneyes. So not a barn burner, but I know that close to the end of the season, her and Nurse were playing pretty good together. But yeah, 35 might just be more comfortable to go back and play her in home country. So we'll have to wait and see. I wanted to ask you, speaking of older players, Megan Augusta announcing her eligibility. She's been a cop for in Vancouver for the last decade. Um,
Yep.
do you think she gets taken in this draft, or do you think it's more likely that she ends up getting some kind of a PTO with one of the teams in the PWHL moving forward?
I like if she does get drafted, it's gonna be like in the last round kind of situation. There's a whole I am leaning more towards like a PTO because like as I mentioned with like my whole Carvenin spiel, you kind of want to get the girls that have just came out of college and have like the young and energetic parts still there. And so, I mean, it's a very, very cool story, and I hope that she signs her PTO with Vancouver because that would, I mean, she played it, I do believe that she played in the 2020 or 2010 Olympics. Um, and yeah, so, and she's also from the Vancouver area, so
Yeah.
that would just be very cool. Like, even if the PTO doesn't necessarily work out, just like that kind of story would be cool to follow.
I wanted to pick your brain on the salary visibility because they did just finally start doing that for the PWHL. We now know how much all the players make. They kept it under wraps for a little bit there. Are you happy that they're doing that now, and what effect do you think it'll have on the salaries in general moving forward?
I'm I really like it just because like even when people are discussing like roster construction and stuff like that, like we see in the NHL, like just because like we can see their salaries, it does like yeah, it can like skew your perception of how a player is. I'm gonna use Darnell Nurse as an example for this. But like a guy like Darnell Nurse, he has like a $9.5 million contract. And like he doesn't play like that kind of player. But like and so it's interesting. I mean, I don't know how much I'm making sense right now, but I think that there is some good and there's some bad. Like the good is the you can better picture how a roster is constructed, but then you also add another layer of things that people can nitpick about a player, like, oh, they're being paid too much. But I think that in the state the PWHL is in right now, we don't necessarily have like the history, let's say like the NHL has for like salaries and stuff like that. And and to touch on a point that I have been seeing a lot on about like how much players are being paid, if it's like adequate or not. Um, I would say that since the league is so young, that the salaries will naturally be lower. But as the league grows and as revenue grows, then those salaries will go up.
Yeah, I think the visibility will help that for sure, which is good to see. A bit of sad news came out for people who like free hockey on their public television, with Hockey Night Canada and Sportsnet putting out a statement saying that the NHL will no longer be on CBC outside of, I guess, some special events or something like that. But is it an easy fix for CBC to say, hey, we have rights to the PWHL? Do you think there's a good chance we see a lot more PWHL hockey on CBC moving forward, since CBC still holds the rights for Hockey Night in Canada?
Yeah, like I mean, I don't watch the PWHL on CBC because I do have like TSN and Sportsnet, so I'm on those instead of CBC. But I think that I don't know if they're going to increase it, but I think that they should increase it because now they have that whole Saturday night slot open. You might as well fill that with more hockey just because like that's what people are used to. But I am very disappointed that that partnership after like 75 years of Hockey Night in Canada, that it's gonna be no more. And I mean, I can kind of understand it from like Sportsnet side where they spent all of this money on retaining the rights of the NHL. So they're like, well, I'm not going to give anything away for free. But yeah, it is very kind of disappointing. And I think that the PWHL has a great opportunity in that sense where they can be like, oh, like there's no more NHL on CBC. We have kind of the same thing. So just convert to watching us.
Yeah, time to work the schedule out so you get Vancouver and Ottawa playing every Saturday night, or Montreal or Hamilton now that they've entered the league, that kind of thing. So I'd love to see them work that schedule. It would be great to have Hockey Night in Canada, but have it being the PWHL. I think it'd be great for the sport in general. I mentioned off the top that not only do you cover obviously the PWHL, WHL, NHL. Let's talk a little bit here to finish things off. How excited were you for the Brind'Amour-led Carolina Hurricanes to win their second Stanley Cup? Was that a good moment for you, or how did you feel about it?
Well, I felt very happy for them. I mean, a little connection part. My dad had grade 8 and 9 math class and gym class with Rod Brind'Amour. And so, and he would hang out with him in like the summers and stuff like that. So it was very cool to see him win again, but first time as a head coach. And also like with the WHL connections on that team, like Jordan Martinook, he played for the Vancouver Giants, currently repping them right now. Um, and Logan Stankoven, he played on the Kamloops Blazers and played on their Memorial Cup participating team. And also Seth Jarvis, who played for the Portland Winterhawks. So I was very happy to see those guys, and especially Seth Jarvis, because one thing I've respected about him is like he's very open about his mental health kind of struggles, and I applaud any player who comes out with that kind of stuff. And so yeah, I'm just happy to see Seth Jarvis win. And yeah, I was like, it felt weird to see a final this year that was in Edmonton in Florida, but it was very welcomed.
Yeah, and just a crazy series. It was lots of fun. I was worried it was going to be super boring, so we're all happy that it actually turned out to be an entertaining.
I think everyone did.
Yeah. I thought they would just stand on each other on their separate blue lines and just yell insults at each other instead of
Just a battle of the 1-3-1 neutral zone trap.
Yeah, it was great. Sarah, what is coming up on Sarah Loves Hockey, and what can people expect from the channel for anyone who hasn't checked it out yet?
Well, I'm gonna do after the Calder Cup Finals is done, I'm gonna do a video talking about that because I need hockey to talk
Yeah.
about. But in the summer, I'm planning on doing like a series where I go through every single NHL team and I explain what happened in this past season and what fans of that team are looking for or can look forward to for the next season. And then I'm also considering doing a few other content ideas that I will not say out loud because then that means I'm committing to it. But yeah, there's gonna be quite a bit happening over the summer and yeah.
That's awesome. Where's the best place that people can find you?
You can find me on YouTube and Instagram. It is Sarah Loves Hockey on both, and I think that it would be relatively easy to find, but
I do
yeah.
have your YouTube channel currently leaked in chat for anyone on YouTube right now. You can go and give her a sub. Make sure you go check her out because, like I said, she covers everything that is hockey. AHL Calder Cup looks like Toronto's up 3-0 right now, so it looks like it could be
Yeah.
over. Could be a quick one. The Calder Cup could, well, it looks like it barring some kind of Toronto Maple Leafs level collapse. The Calder Cup will be coming back to Canada 2 years in a row. So despite the fact that we're not a fan of the Maple Leafs as an organization, or at least I'm not. I can't speak for you. But it is kind of fun to see the Calder Cup come back to Canada 2 years in a row. Anyways,
Don't jinx
yeah.
it. Don't. We're not speaking in absolutes here, but
I'm a
but yeah,
Vancouver
that
fan. I
would
can't
be
jinx Toronto. It's not possible. I can try as much as I will, but that's not how it works. So
yeah.
Sarah, is there anything you want to say to chat or the podcast listeners that are going to be watch or listen to this afterwards before I let you go?
I would say stay positive about the situation in Vancouver right now. Yes, Vancouver, the Canucks, it looks like that they're making the correct moves, which is kind of weird. And we also just got Caroline Harvey or KK Harvey.
Yep.
And so there's a lot to look forward to in the Vancouver sphere. And also, Vancouver Giants, they announced their home opener, it's in September. I think it's like the 19th, I do believe. And so look forward to that. And also the Giants will be putting out a documentary covering this past season that Buble and Scott, the two co-owners of the Giants. So that will be on Amazon Prime. So yeah, I sound like an ad right now,
Yeah.
but go watch that if you want to consume more Vancouver sports content.
That's awesome, Sarah. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I hope you enjoyed our chat, and I'm sure we'll have you on again soon because it's going to be yet another long summer for us Vancouver Canucks fans. So it's great having you on, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Nothing is perfect.